Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Wait a minute, what? Okay, yeah. Let me see what it's like. Okay, that's what I was gonna say. Wait a minute, what? Don't look at me looking at us. And that's no, that's just me, so we're good. This is trippy. I can't look no more. Okay. Cool. All right, y'all. I'm saying. Oh yeah. Okay. First. Okay, y'all. So today. Oh hey, Naya. That's like my favorite student that I'm always talking to. My sister. Okay, so today we're going to record on Instagram Live for our Unfckwitable podcast season 2. What you say? Hey. So we're gonna record today, and we decided to go on live so that we can save it.
This is not the time.
Marley!
Excuse me.
You're making us look unprofessional right now, fam. Go. Okay, so we're going to record, but we decided for the video component, since it's our first one, we're going to go Instagram Live as the video component and see if we like it that way. Try to do something different.
And then we can save it as like a reel, or is that what it's called? A reel?
No, it's Instagram Live.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you just save it as a video.
Yeah, I'm new to this, so I'm still trying to figure out my terms.
Okay, so we're going to actually press record now, so we got to get in our little podcasting mode. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I gotta stop laughing. All right. Hello, everybody. This is Tyler.
This is Shavante.
And we are Unfckwitable Podcast. So, this is season 2. Welcome. Episode 1. We're bringing you some new shit this episode and this season. So, we have a new logo, which is going to go live after we say this Instagram Live.
And thank you, Melissa, for hooking us up.
Yes, La Huevana.
Yes.
Right?
Thank you.
So Melissa is our new guru for all digital things. So we are going to be doing a lot of new cool just visuals now too. We're gonna have some merch ready for you guys too. So be on the lookout. We're on all streaming platforms. We're gonna be on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple. We are
on Pandora, iHeart.
And if you see something a little shaky, like, oh, this isn't done right, hit girls up, because we trying to make sure it looks good. Okay.
Exactly.
So yeah, welcome to this new season. Last season was a mini season. We had 4 episodes. Our full seasons are gonna be 8 episodes, right? So this season, expect 8 different episodes. Today we're gonna be talking about
coping mechanisms.
What are coping mechanisms?
I feel like coping mechanisms, from my understanding, is anything that you can do physically, mentally, spiritually to deal with a situation that's affecting you negatively. I can't even speak right now. In a negative way. Taking a beat.
I'll start music producing up in this.
In a negative way, and I feel like even sometimes in a positive way. I feel like sometimes things go right for people, and still you don't feel you're at your best. So you can do different things. You can do, I think, emotional or either problem focused, and we can go through some ways of how we deal with some things, some coping mechanisms that we've tried. Didn't work for us, did work for us, and then just some general ones that maybe we want to even try in the future.
So, like, why do you need coping mechanisms? Well, we all go through shit, right? And so 2020 has been just a bag of both good and bad for people. And I think this year in the media, both in social and in, like, the widespread media, we all see that, like, trauma is just going rampant everywhere. We all have experienced different things in our lives, but this year has seemed to be a very unique year.
That's a nice word. A unique year.
Yes, a very unique year. I think there have been some great things that have happened too, but I think this time we're focusing on the trauma because we're trying to figure out coping mechanisms, right? To make some things that have been traumatic and shitty for you, to kind of make them a little bit more easy or digestible, right?
And to keep going.
Yeah, because sometimes it's hard. Shoot. Yeah. If you think about it, I mean, we will probably share a little bit, like, as we get more and more comfortable, but we like go through different things. You know, one, we have this pandemic and coronavirus. And as you know, like during this year, I lost my job because I have a new one and blessed with something even more ideal. But a lot of people during this year have also experienced job loss, right? Now, that's one thing. That's a job. That's something that's outside of your health and stuff. But from Vontae's perspective now, during this year, she's learning medicine in the middle of a pandemic.
And then I had to they took us away from our sites for a minute while everything like kind of blew up. Everything was like unknown. And then they tried to have us adapt to more of like a virtual way of learning. But then it turned out that a lot of people in the class were ready to actually go back and be back on the field, like front line. So that was something definitely to adjust to really quickly, because, you know, at first you're taking away something super unknown. You don't know a lot about it. And then all of a sudden, no, it's okay for you guys to go back and just try your best to wear PPE, where that was a lot for me to actually really digest, because a lot of my loved ones that I'm still very close with, I'm around in very close quarters, have certain medical conditions. And it's just something that I had to think about every day, still going out. What is the possibility of me bringing something back in and not even affecting me, but affecting one of, you know, my loved ones. So.
And I think one, that's like one of the biggest and most critical things that a lot of medical professionals have been seeing. Like I have friends who are nurses too that have been saying like it's been taking a toll on their mental health also. Not only thinking about like, you know, the impact of going into these spaces and going to your family who have medical conditions, but seeing these things also, seeing people lose their lives, seeing people like at their worst moments during this time too, also takes a toll on medical professionals too. And we always overlook that, or don't, you know, really put a lot of focus. Like, yes, mental health is important for everybody going through this pandemic. Like, it's a lot being quarantined or not having a job or whatever. But on top of that, being a medical professional, seeing these things, and then with the different messagings that are going on, it's kind of hard to be a medical professional and toe these lines. So coping mechanisms, now that we talked about some of the traumatic things, like what are some things that you can do? Well, like one, there's medical coping, you know, things that people do, right? They get like, you know, if you have depression, there are things like that, which, you know, Vontae can speak way more to in terms of the medicinal things.
So there's medication that you can, of course, take. But I feel like a lot of times when it comes to seeking professional help, you can always go the route of having like behavioral therapy first before even being medicated. Not to say there's anything wrong with being medicated, but behavioral health will be more of like seeing a therapist or even seeing like a psychiatrist, seeing if medication is actually really needed for that situation, or if there's different things you can do as far as like even just talking out. It's crazy how the older I get, I realize that I like to keep a lot of things to myself, but actually talking a lot of things out, whether it's with a friend or it's with a medical profession, can actually really help you. That's a coping mechanism within itself, talking it out. So that's one way. And then also medication. So there's a whole bunch of medications that we're just not going to get into, but you have to also think about the side effects that come with some of the medications that you take. And is it really worth it? Do the pros really outweigh the cons of these medications?
Yeah, because sometimes, I mean, you'll take a medication for one thing and then end up with something completely different or something exacerbated. So I feel like everything is in balance. Like, yes, you know, that's kind of why we are a leading medical authority in Western world, is because we have been able to figure out certain things, right? That's why people come here for different surgeries and procedures and medicine, and, you know, we have some of the best schools. However, there are some alternatives. So I can speak more to some of the health alternatives too, in terms of like natural things. So, you know, if you're a gardener, you know, if you catch my drift, go into the garden. Trips to the garden are very helpful for lots of folks. Instead of taking something that is, you know, made in a chemical lab, you can do something that is made from the Lord, or, you know, or just the natural, you know, earth. That has been one avenue that people take. Another avenue, other than just that garden, is to do more medicinal herbs that are, not contraband in other places. So, for example, there's St. John's wort, which is a component or a herb that you can take in a pill. Or in other forms too. I think they have tinctures and stuff like that is said to help with depression and, leveling mood. Also, sometimes your diet also plays a big role in whether or not you are depressed, because you just don't feel like yourself. So like taking some me time and really assessing like what you're eating, or like, am I exercising? Or like one thing too, I noticed I was talking with my family, and some people don't realize the certain behaviors that they stopped doing that they enjoyed. And now they're feeling kind of fucked up. And so like one of the things that I noticed, I had told to my dad, and this was before this time, but I remember my dad was so frustrated for a while. And I'd just be like, you know what? You don't play music like you used to. Like my dad's known around our neighborhood. We're from, I'm from Inglewood. My dad's known around the neighborhood for like blasting music everywhere. And he just stopped doing that. Like I know most of my music from my dad because he was playing Zapp and Roger, all my West Coast stuff and everything. And then I noticed half of the time we'd be in the car, it's silent and he just complaining. You know what I mean? And so what I told him, and that makes a shift. That does. So like do stuff that makes you happy, like music, if that's your thing, or if you notice that a behavior that you used to like to do is gone, try to adopt that again.
Go back to it. Baking, any type of little hobbies or activities. And then even just like piggybacking on what she had said earlier about like going in the garden. Mind you, even when it comes to St. John's wort and in the medicines that you can take for any type of depression or just any sad feelings that you're having. We are not medical professionals. I am still in school. So these are just options. We are not telling you to go out there and to actually do these things. These are just options for you. And then also when she was talking about the garden, it kind of took my mind to being in nature. I think a lot of people forget like just being out in the world. I know it's hard now too because of like the whole quarantine thing, but you can still go outside if you have a front yard, if you have a backyard, if you have a park,
balcony. Yeah,
you can still go outside, get some vitamin D, get some fresh air, get a view, get something. Nature, just so actually literally really going out into the garden.
Yeah. I think like you said, even vitamin D, I think people, I'm childish. That is important though. People don't realize that like sunshine and being out and seeing people and getting some rays, get a little glisten on you. You know what I'm saying? A little coat. I think that's important. You know what I mean? Just some of the normal things that we just don't do. Stretching. Yoga, deep breathing. I think people like walks in the garden a lot because you actually got to breathe in and exhale and be intentional in your breathing, when most of the time we just have very short labored breaths.
Yes, and I think that's something very important that she hit on. Deep breathing can actually change a lot of things. Even if you have like trouble sleeping. I feel like before you go into bed, you can go to YouTube and you can like find this, but certain breathing exercises can help you relax right before you go to bed, so you can actually have a better experience sleeping. It might not work for everybody, but I feel like these are just things that you can still give a shot, give a try, if you are going through a hard time. That's what coping mechanisms are all about.
Yeah. And so that's it for coping mechanisms. I mean, right now, I think to take away, there are so many different coping mechanisms. Okay, I was just reading. There's so many different coping mechanisms that you can, go to. You can go to a traditional medical doctor. If you're really feeling down and out, you need to go to a professional, right? But there are some times where you just know you're feeling off. Try to just go back into yourself and really feed into who you are, into your soul. Go back and do some assessments. Because I think sometimes during these times of trauma, and sometimes we just kind of lose ourselves, and that makes you even more depressed. You know what I mean? Because you're just not doing the things that normally make you happy because there's so much other things going on. And I think we could personally both attest to that. Like, I definitely was messing up. I've had a roller coaster of a ride in terms of my emotional self-care too during this year. I've been good at it, and I've been trying to be very intentional, but there are times where, like, I stop a routine, or, you know, I stop doing my, like, teas in the morning, opening up my, you know, balcony, going outside in my robe, playing my music, getting into a vibe, then going for a walk. I would walk for an hour because I live in the Hollywood Hills, so I would walk the hill, come back, shower, and then make a to-do list. Like, I just stopped doing those things. Like, when we were on first quarantine, that first go round when nobody was outside and I knew, I was on it. And then I think sometimes, you know, it just waxes and wanes.
It does. And I feel like another big thing that we're trying to get at is, you know, going back, self-reflecting, see what you possibly are missing, how you can problem solve it. Focus on your emotional side of it, whether it's like, you know, some type of self-care routine, and then also problem solving. Okay, so I'm not listening to music anymore like how I used to. Start adding music in. I'm not dancing how I used to. I'm not going to the gym like I used to. Work out. So problem solving too. And also just getting to that point where if you feel like it's something you can't solve on your own, knowing that it's okay to reach out to somebody else, whether it is a medical professional, a friend, or a family.
So I laughed because Shania, I just read the comment. She said, it's the outside in the road for me. Girl, yes, you know I'm bougie sometimes. I had to go, you know, I have like 4 or 5 robes. Sometimes I take it out, you know, with my...
They're nice robes. They're like little silk robes. Nice.
Yes, you have to, you know, do something to make you feel good, you know? Yeah. So that was this episode. It's very short this time because it was just kind of an introduction. Now, after we stop this recording, you're going to see some new shit on the way. So we have some new logos, which we're going to update now. We're going to have some merch coming, hopefully by the end of the week. We have some mock-ups to maybe show you guys and stuff. So we have some really cool shit on the way. If you have ideas, please email us at UNFckwitable podcast@gmail.com. So again, that's Unfckwitable podcast@gmail.com. The U, there's no U, it just replace it with a period. Okay.
Yes. And we're just now getting back into the swing of things. Like we said, this is why we're doing coping mechanism. We are going through things as well too. So hopefully you guys are vibing with us and continue to follow us.
Keep rocking and stay unfuckwitable.
Peace.